Welcome to Igniting Inspired Inquiry, a space for real conversations with incredible humans. I'm your host, Jay, and I'm here to open the door to reflection, resonance, and revelation. If you have a moment to like, share, subscribe, or review, I would deeply appreciate you sharing the love. This is a space for truth, trust, and the kind of insight that comes from simply being human. Thank you for being here. Let's begin. I am so incredibly blessed to have these conversations with such powerful people in all walks of life and different flavors. And I absolutely love that. In each short episode, as you know, we get to ask three questions that open the door to reflection, resonance, and revelation. I get to share a conversation with an incredible human that I have known for, I'm going to take a quick guess, at like 7 or 8 years. And we met in Canada at a yoga training and just stayed in touch. And I'm inspired by what she does, who she is, how she leads. So honored that I get to share that with all of you. So I'm going to flick it over to the beautiful Jo and ask her to share with us, who is Jo?
It is a hard question. Having had a career in many corporates, which I might talk about later, you normally lead with what you do and what your job title is. So I thought I'd lead by saying that I'm an explorer, a learner, a seeker. I collect experience. I also collect learning. And I'm a creative, is basically whatever that is. I call myself a creative. And I'm only just coming to realize now that sometimes I need to stop, stay put and see what happens. So I'm coming to this realization quite late, but I'm also an architect and a yoga teacher. And again, doing both is possible, which is something I've really struggled with. And I'm a dog mum to Missy Moo, who's in a crate, so she doesn't disturb us. I've got Laverne the alpaca. Oh, and a husband. You must And I live in Tasman, very lucky to live in Tasman on the estuary with a house that we built a few years ago now that embodies a lot of the principles of my design philosophy. So yeah, I'm hugely lucky and very honoured to be invited onto this. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome. And there's so much to share and so many questions already popping in for me. However, we know the first question, and it is for you. And this is our common thread, what is one moment, belief, or experience that changed the way you see the world?
Well, if you'd asked me this I'm going to cry. If you'd asked me this 6 months ago, I probably would have said something completely different. But my mum, or my mam, as I would call her, passed away at the end of October last year, which is not that long ago. And I think that experience has shifted quite a lot for me. So what happened was she got diagnosed with cancer, but my brother had previously said in September, I think you need to come home and not wait till Christmas, because I was going to go for Christmas. So I'm in New Zealand, my mum's in the UK, my brother's in Canada. Not ideal, but it means that she fed three adventurous birds from her nest. So yeah. She loved to tell us she didn't know what she did wrong, but actually she did it right, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, so I turn up in October. My brother heads away because we were tag teaming. And I had no clue what I was doing because she needed care. And I wouldn't say I'm definitely care with not a capital C. I'm a small c care, I would have said. So it didn't really matter because my imperfect and very clumsy version of care was just what she needed. So I think what happened was I got stuck into what I was good at, the spreadsheets, the finances, all the sorting out, because she had a timeline, but it ended up being much shorter than the timeline, as these things sometimes happen. And she was just fully present. My mum's always been a fully present person. Some kind of not so great stuff happened that I won't go into here, take too long, but she was always in the now, and I revisit the past and look to the future way more than I'm in the now. So I think the experience of being with somebody going through what she was going through, and I know you'll relate to that, is quite profound. And
Yeah, it
actually,
is.
you have no clue how profoundly it's going to impact you as well. So I think how the experience, I stayed for a month and she actually passed away the minute I landed in Nelson, pretty much I got the call. So I think she
Wow.
spared me the last day, as it were. And I don't mind that. I'm happy with that. But also, I got that amazing gift of time that I would never have had if my brother hadn't come and gone, hey, I think you need to get over there.
Yeah.
So I think the experience in itself was magical. It was scary, but it also reiterated to me or really underlined that this is it. There might be something after, but we don't know.
Hmm.
And my mum said something really cool, which was that her idea of heaven was in the way her friends and family speak and think of her. And she wrote a letter to be read at the funeral, like way ahead of
Wow.
time. I know, so which was very funny. Actually, it was a very funny
Mm.
letter. So for too long in my life, I've gone with the flow. I've changed jobs loads. That used to be a running joke in the industry. I've kind of gone down career paths that I've been a bit surprised at.
Yeah.
It's because it's almost like I needed validation, and that's trumped my sense of knowing what's right for me moving forward. I mean, so chasing the money or the status, or in the personal life, I've been engaged a number of times, but only married the right one right at the end. But like it's almost like needing that validation. So now I'm kind of sitting back and trusting that the right work and people will find me and that I can do good things for them with all of the experience that I've gained in my 57 years on this earth. So I'm a work in progress, but it's about
Mm.
just moving forward with more clarity and basically shoving my ego into the back seat and letting
Yeah.
my heart drive a little bit more. And I think that's always been a conflict for me. But this experience with my mum has helped me, yeah, just get real, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's
Wow.
been amazing. Yeah,
Death in many forms is one of our greatest teachers.
yeah,
And being alongside someone nearest and dearest, I think that's even more so. But the gift of presence and really seeing that for what it is such a powerful shift. And that is also, and you'll maybe reflect in this, is that in those moments, in that illness, that's all you can be.
yeah, yeah.
Truly is like being acceptance of this is the moment we have and this is what we're focused on right now, and we have no idea where this is going or how it's going, nor can we control. And
I
it
think
really is a gift.
Right. I think for a control freak like me, that's quite an interesting one. Actually,
Mm.
I can't control this. All I can do is support. That's
Hmm.
that's basically your job, is to make things better for the
Yeah.
that you can. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And I love to hear that that is now a way that you're leading your life and leading your work, because I mean, I think you're not alone in making that shift and really understanding that we're here to lead from the heart now. Like we have the skills, we have the logic, we have the planning, we have the structure, we have these different roles that we play in life. And now with trust and faith in ourselves, we can let the what's coming through us and what comes for us in terms of open and opportunities, because there's an absence of that when we're trying to control everything, right?
yeah, definitely. And I think I went to a workshop over the weekend with a guy called Clive Sheridan, a yogi of many years standing. He was in India in the 60s, and something
Wow.
he said really resonated, which was that he teaches spontaneously, and I always thought that because that's how I teach, and
Hmm.
I feel like you're channeling, a little bit, and it's sort of valid. It did give you good validation, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That actually that everybody's path's different, and the way you're doing it is the right way for you.
Yep.
And I've been hung up for quite a long time that the yoga has to be separate to the design work, but
Mm.
really linked. They're like super linked, and also the fact that I don't look in my mind like your typical yogi. I'm not flexible for a start, so it's but this guy's 79 and
Hmm.
he doesn't do all the poses now. He could do them with bells on before, but the fact that I can't do something doesn't mean I'm not good at teaching it. I think
Hmm.
I mean, we're in a constant state of learning, right? And so I got that gem this weekend. I got all that other good stuff from my beautiful mother. And it's just, yeah, trust. Trust is huge. Trust in yourself. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, and letting yourself be led by
yeah,
what's coming through and what's coming forward. But and that's something that you and I connected on is the fact that we are very intuitive teachers and we do let it just come through us rather than having that plan and that structure because then it really is what's needed in that moment. But I also think that it's more about the space we hold than it is about our ability to do this crazy pose or to do this or that and the next thing. It's like it's what we know and what we intend for the class, right?
yeah. I do. It was fantastic being at this workshop, though, seeing people who can do stuff that I've never even dreamt of doing because it's
Yeah.
lovely to see it executed
Yes.
like
Yeah.
that. And I can applaud that just like at Ian's teacher training, where we
Hmm.
met. you
Yeah.
know you can totally appreciate it, but
Hmm.
equally you're doing what works for your body again, so trusting
Hmm.
that that's the right thing for you, therefore you push it to a line but you don't push it further. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's so true. Thank you for sharing.
She's everywhere, my mum. She's here. She's like, I don't know if you have it, but when you have a decision to make and you go,
Yep.
oh, what would, like your panel or your everybody panel is a name for it, of people or your person would say. So now it's her.
Yep.
You can't
Yeah.
tell me to pull my head in or wait so it's really good to have her around, even though I can't speak to her. She's
Hmm.
kind of here, which is really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you can speak to her.
I do speak to her, but she's not on FaceTime anymore.
No, I totally get that. It's just an adjustment, right? But it is such a beautiful thing when you live in the world that we understand that they are not gone, just here in a different way.
Yeah,
And so powerful to be able to still feel them, sense them, be actually, there's a lot of humoring and moments that I'm like, oh yeah, it's just you can't make that stuff up. It's just so there. It's so true.
yeah.
And such a blessing. But I think that that is also divine reflection of the connection that you have.
Yes, yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, so here we are in the second question, which Joe doesn't know. So this section is in the moment. The question I have for you is out of all the modalities or tools or skills that you have, thinking back to when you first received whichever one it is that comes through, what modality or tool inspired you the most?
Ooh. I would jump to the yoga for that. I mean, I teach predominantly Vinyasa flow. That's been all of my trainings have been in Vinyasa, although I'm heading down a yin track this year, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool. I'm teaching a little bit of yin and hatha now, which is
Hmm.
equally challenging and
Yeah.
interesting. So
Yeah,
I'll
it
go,
is.
and it is an answer to do with can help you feel. I think.
So here we are in question two, and Joe's just about to find out what question I have for her. So, in all the skills and tools and areas that you've worked in, thinking to when you first received whatever tool or modality that you've experienced, what tool or modality inspired you the most?
So I would go to yoga because describing the architectural school, I mean, it's amazing. So I'll jump onto architecture for a second. The amazing thing about architecture that's inspiring to me and keeps me going back for more is that something comes out of my head and becomes a thing that I'm now standing in, right? That's incredible. But shifting to yoga, I used to do yoga a bit. Like I wasn't a regular practitioner. I wasn't what I'd call a yogi, but I went to
Hmm.
Wanderlust in
Yep.
Tokyo
Yes.
back in 2016, I think. Yeah, 16. And I didn't want to go to this particular class, but my now husband did. And I was like, oh, well, I'll go with you. Anyway, it was Ian Finn. And the yoga itself was intense. It was fun. Like, I think knowing that yoga can be fun was inspiring. Like, because a lot of the yoga I'd done up to date was serious.
Absolutely.
You know, that you can have a banging soundtrack. That I actually used one of his soundtracks in class on Monday, and people,
Yeah.
great soundtrack, you know. Um, but at the end, when everybody gathered together, and oof, that was so emotional. So the fact that yoga can unlock emotion the way that it does, and also create connection the way that it can.
Hmm.
Um, you know, not with every teacher, not with every class, you know, but that it can create those magic moments. And I'd actually committed to another yoga teacher training in Bali. And I just went, I'm not doing that one. I'm doing his one.
Yeah.
Quit my corporate job. I was at PwC at the time actually,
Hmm.
and I was like, I'm off. I've got to do this. And I only
Yeah.
went to deepen my practice. I'm sure we've all said that, right? I went to
Yeah.
deepen my yoga practice because I love learning foundationally. So I need to know everything and then build on it, right?
Hmm.
And about day three, I was just like, oh my God, I've got to teach, to share this. So it
Hmm.
inspired me. I guess that experience at Wanderlust inspired me to actually become a yoga teacher, which is huge because I'd never thought I could be a yoga teacher. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely hear you because, and I'm sure we've talked about this before, but it will have been a minute, but that was exactly the same for me. So I went to Wanderlust in Taupo in 2015 and went to this yoga class with Ian Finn and was like, oh my God, I never knew that yoga could be this way. And actually was so inspired by him, by his heart, by the way he leads, and by the flow of yoga. So just, and what I mean by flow of yoga is like literally the sequence of poses and the way he curated that to create an energy arc within our bodies, to create and facilitate such a change in the physical and energetic feeling within the body. And then, yes, the circle of light, the gathering together at the end, and just really, yeah, I remember that feeling. So thank you for sharing because it's reminding me of that experience too. And then I did the same. I was like, I best go train with this guy.
And chills actually thinking about it. And funny thing is, every week before I teach my hatha class, I get into a bit more of the alignment piece of
Hmm.
it. And so the book is right here, his Yoga Optimized book,
Yes.
and I just have a look, and like it just makes so much sense to me the way that he teaches, and then we met on one of the trainings subsequent to that.
Hmm.
So I immediately inhaled 500 hours of training because I was like, oh,
Yes.
I want it all. I want all of this so that I can be the best teacher that I can be, and
Hmm.
create my own banging soundtracks, which I do, and
Yes.
and I just think I've just been invited to teach at the Nelson Yoga Festival, which is the first time I've been invited, and
Yep.
it's like I've just written yoga's joyous.
Hmm.
That's
Yep.
I want to feel openness, expansion, strength, joy, and connection.
Hmm.
And that's what hopefully I bring to my classes and
Yeah.
retreats. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm sure you do. But that is a beautiful reflection of the diversity, right? So, like, whatever lens in terms of teacher personality, the way we received it, the way we learned it, the way we want to share what intention we have creates a different class and a different experience. And it's a beautiful thing.
yeah, yeah,
And then it really becomes your language as a teacher, right?
yeah. And I've really noticed, each class is so different. And when you
Hmm.
teach intuitively, that's really good because you read the room and
Hmm.
you can use the energy or shift the energy
Agreed.
change the energy so that people leave different to when they arrived. And I think and that links to the architecture. So the design portion is energy-based design, which is that we're all having this mad energetic exchange with our environment that's impacting our nervous system on all levels at all times, but we're not aware of it happening. So the
Hmm.
reason we walk into a space and feel stressed is because of the space. It's not
Hmm.
because of us necessarily. So
Yeah.
like that's the design philosophy piece, which I brought into the design of the house. And yeah, using they're so linked. Like it's
Yeah.
really cool that I can link them, and I'm finally learning that my superpower, which somebody else had to tell me, is
Hmm.
I've got this left-right brain thing going on, and using both. Yeah.
That's a superpower for sure. But do you feel like, and you're probably reflecting on this now, and maybe in other times in your life, that it's not until later that you see or kind of like weave why this is now becoming a part of this area and this is now becoming a part of this area. And it's like, that's why I had those random jobs or had those random shifts. And it's like, and it's all coming together into this beautiful cocktail now.
Yeah, I do think that. And when I was doing the teacher training, we did this really good thing about your purpose, like, so
Hmm.
piece of work on that. And it was really, because I'd always thought that I did a master's in sustainable design
Hmm.
much later when I got to New Zealand. And I was like, I'm going to be a sustainability architect. That's my calling. And then I did this session. I was like, oh shit, it's people. By helping people become more in tune with themselves, with nature, and each other,
Mm.
that makes them kinder to the environment. So, therefore, my calling is actually to create the spaces and places that help people to thrive,
Yes,
and also the classes that do that. And that's the ripple effect. It's not that I will be a sustainability architect and full
agreed.
stop.
Yeah. Well, you are just not in the way you thought it was going to show up.
Yeah, not at all. And that explains why I could never get a job. Like I always go for these jobs and I didn't have the
Yep.
experience in that. But there's obviously a reason that I had to go down this mad path of, yeah, crazy jobs and end up
Hmm.
kind of closing the circle now. And at my
Yeah.
age now, I see that my role is to support and mentor
Hmm.
people as much as anything else. I don't
Yes.
the front anymore, like that driver's the ego's not driving anymore, right? So I
Yeah.
don't be in front of the room anymore. I can be at the back.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah. Encouraging and lifting people up with the skills that you have.
yeah.
That's beautiful. So here we are. Now we're in segment three, which is reflecting light, which means, Joe, I'm excited. You have a question for me.
I do indeed. It's quite a long question.
Okay, bring it.
I think it goes back to first meeting you in 2017. Yeah,
Hmm.
2017 in Canada, Vancouver Island. And since I've first met you, you've always come across, and you can talk in your answer about it, but you've always come across as really confident and kind of knowing your path. And I mean, that fills me with awe, to be honest, because I'm very much not in that. So, what is it that you think helps you have such a strong belief in yourself? And what could you share that might help me, for sure, or anyone watching or listening, to cut through the noise and be clearer on their path? And that's me speaking as somebody who's constantly second guessing, reinventing, and
Mm,
changing to accommodate what I think others need. Whereas I feel like you've kind of cut through that.
mm. It's a beautiful question. And it's actually really interesting because I had that reflected back to me as well. So when I say it's really interesting, is because firstly, it's really surprising to hear that that's the way you viewed me,
Mm.
because that is not at all what was going on the inside. So
Yeah.
if you were to ask me when my confidence really came, that was only like a year or so ago. When my true like sense of self, my true, I love who I am, I'm confident who I am, I am backing myself, I am my best teammate, like that sense of confidence has only been here like just not that long ago. And stepping into probably the role with my sister. So the other thing that I heard when you asked me that question is like, how was it that you were able to be that confident? You get good at what you practice, and I was very good at showing up in the way I wished I wanted to be.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that I was fake, but it means that there was a whole lot going on behind the scenes that nobody else could see. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I think one of the areas that gave me confidence and offered that to others is because I really and have always believed that the impact I leave and the connections that I make are the most important thing. So I always want to leave people better than I found them. And so being confident to me was like, this is the effect or this is the impact I can have on people,
Yeah.
is lifting them up. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does make sense. And kind of in a way, I get it too, because you portray a vision of yourself that that wants to self-reflect, that you want people to like, right? But
Hmm.
also like, and so I think at that training, for sure, it came across that you knew, well, you knew what you were doing around a yoga studio, which was very handy, right?
That's true.
Get your side crawl. I was like, oh, look at her, that's
Yeah.
exciting. Do one, but then I don't practice one, so that was a good thing about practicing, right? And
Yeah.
um, I think that confidence, you speaking of your sister, and it's true, these big experiences change us, and it's changed
Hmm.
me, and I know it's changed you.
Yeah.
So if you could, not everybody can have, I mean, your experience with your sister was, so amazing,
Mm.
and mine with my mum, but I guess if somebody's listening or watching this, what advice would you give to them, about how you kind of maybe cut through the noise and started to get some
Yeah.
of the knowing?
Yeah. Well, then it comes to that, like what I was explaining about, like this year, and because of everything that I've been through, I really feel like I have my own back. I really believe in myself. I believe in my capacity, and that's what you're asking for. It's like, how do you get there, right?
Yeah.
And I believe it's your self-talk.
Mm,
I really firmly believe until we address the thoughts we're thinking, and the subconscious levels of doubt and fear, that a lot of them aren't ours or are really old, until we look at those, the way we perceive the world doesn't shift.
yeah.
Because there's a lot of layers that, and I do this a lot with my work and my clients, is like it's not until we really share what we think when nobody else is around, what we think in our own head, in our own heart about ourselves. It's not until we share and shift that we really start to feel, not just portray, but feel that confidence. And there's less room for judgment, comparison, and comparing. It's like I'm here and what I am and what I know, and I'm doing the best I can. And so there's no room for that other stuff, which is what brings us down, which is what gets in the way of that confidence.
Yeah, and I think sometimes when I think about how I talk to myself, and I would never talk to a friend like that. Maybe
Exactly.
really good. That's a really good. I suppose that's a really good thing. Is like, think about, would you say that to your best friend? And you'd
Hmm.
be, it'd be ridiculous. But you're saying it to yourself. Like, I quite often say I'm too old or too whatever, or too stiff, or too big
Yep.
to be a good yoga teacher, which is bullshit,
It's
because
bullshit.
that's what I'm telling myself. But other people are telling me you're exactly the right shaped aged yoga teacher for me.
Yep.
Because not everybody is super flexible and young and skinny, right?
Yeah.
But I have that in my head. Luckily now I'm kind of moving through it, and I know I'm a really good
Yeah.
yoga teacher, but it's taken a long time to get
But
there.
it does get in your way.
Yeah, yeah, it
Yeah,
does.
and I love what you said. I love that you said the word bullshit, because that's another thing. It's like that's a scenario, that's a way out. So we've probably got people that are listening now, and they're like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but how do I do that? And I literally explain it as when you hear things in your head, when you think things, call bullshit. When you hear I'm not good enough for that, or when you hear I'll never be able to do that, or when you hear they'll probably judge me, call bullshit, because it is, because you don't know it's true.
Yeah.
And I actually find that that's really powerful. Um, and then we really start to hold ourselves in a different way. But you're absolutely right. I love what you said, because a lot of people are like, well, I don't know how to be kind to myself. And I say, well, what would you say to your best friend?
Mm,
And
yeah.
I say, you just need to learn how to turn that back round on you. You just need to learn how to be your best teammate, cheerleader, coach, whatever like you like to call it. But how do you be? Because nobody knows what you need to hear like you do. Nobody knows what your fears or doubts are like you do. So the best person to address and comfort and reassure and lift up is you.
But it's so often not the person that we turn to for that. We
Yep.
don't turn to ourselves and do that. We turn externally too
Yeah.
often for that, like I
Yeah.
said, validation. Um,
Yeah.
of an internal validation of quite often you know, all right, you know and
Mm.
hear
Yep.
what it is. Yeah,
Which turning to someone else can help get you over the line. Hearing it from someone else can help, but it's never really going to shift the belief, the self-belief, because you'll always have that other little program running of like, I'm not good enough for this. If I've always had this, I'm too this, I'm too that, I'm not enough of this. It's like until we really look at those, because that's the thing, that's the other reason why people don't get there is because they look at it and it scares them and they don't like it, so they don't want it. But I'm like, the moment you look at it, it starts to shift.
yeah,
And it's a really powerful place. But because, and that's what drives me in my work, and that's what was, you know, when you said 2017 and like looking back at confidence, I was like, that is actually when I was at my worst because all the layers were peeled back and I was like really like comparing and judging myself to everybody else. But I was also a very good actor, so I didn't appear that way. But where was I going with that? It's like it's really understanding that that is also a reflection of you stretching. So when there's more noise, when there's more doubt, when there's more fear, that's because you're going in a new direction. It's
yeah. That's
because the nervous system is like, whoa, this is not comfortable, but it doesn't mean it's not a good stretch.
yeah. Like you can't have the change without the discomfort. Like it doesn't just flow. Like it
Mm,
really. I think it's if it's flowing. So
yep,
this company is the flow company, right? But if it's flowing sort of too fast, I guess you're not really on board. You know what I mean? Does that make
agreed.
sense? Yeah,
Oh, for sure. And
yeah,
that's where it comes back to that discomfort. Like it is, that's what's required because a lot of people think that confidence is just something that you'll get given.
yeah,
And yes, to a degree, it is something that you decide. It's like I'm going to decide to practice confidence. I'm going to decide to stretch myself so I build more faith and capacity and capability of myself. But confidence isn't something that we're given. Confidence is on the other side of courage. Can't
yeah,
have one without the other,
yeah, yeah,
which is what you're saying about discomfort. Like you have to lean in order to stretch, in order to find that.
yeah.
It's such a powerful question.
You're welcome.
Ah, isn't it though? Like, and to understand where we're confident and where we're not, and how we appear and how we're perceived, but also what, and at the same time, is like knowing, well, I was really questioning my own worth at that point, but it's like it's reassuring to know that I was still able to kind of, I guess, vibrate that for others.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But it's a practice, right?
yeah,
Yeah. I love that question. And I know, I hope I don't know, I hope that that might inspire some questions for either you and I on any of the platforms that this gets shared on. And I'm really glad that we got to speak on that.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. So we're coming to the end, which is quite nuts. It feels like time is flowing. But what I wanted to ask you now, Joe, is like if people want to connect with you, in your work in whatever way that appears, retreat, yoga, architecture, um, how do they connect with you? And what do you, have you got anything coming up?
Yes, I do. When this goes to air, I am very, very blessed to be able to run my seventh retreat at Mana in the Coromandel,
Yeah.
end of March. So it's actually warm.
Wow.
I get the winter ones. So depending on when we go to air, this might be valid. I'm also
Yes.
doing another Tonga retreat with the humpback whales. If they
Amazing.
come swim with us, and that's 2027. The best way to get me, and I think this is a really good example of all these years I've been trying to come up with the right name for something and the brand and the this and the that. Anyway, it's jomonaghan.com.
Nice. And we'll chuck that in the show notes so people can connect with
To
you.
give myself some other persona, and everything's jomonaghan.com. So you can, if you go on there, you'll find it. I'm on Instagram and I am on Facebook for those of the not so young generation that are still using Facebook. I quite like it.
Oh, that's perfect. Joe, I want to thank you so much for being here. It's
Yeah,
been a really beautiful way to, and that's what, I've experienced in the podcast, but to allow ourselves to be inspired, but also just to really be open to see what comes through. And we've really had an experience of that today. And
Yeah.
for those that are listening, that's it for today's inquiry. And I hope that it sparked something in you. And if you'd like to keep the conversation going, if you want to connect with either of us or to perhaps bring some of the aspects that came up for us today, especially around that confidence and what instills and what gets in the way of that, then perhaps you sit down and listen to this with someone else. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep the flame alive. Thank you so much, Jo.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody.